purpose-inspired TV is under construction. During this process, we invite you to step into the journey. By joining our team, you have the chance to shape the very fabric of this channel with your creative ideas and skills. We believe that the true essence of innovation lies in collaboration, and together, we can create something truly extraordinary. We will provide content that ignites your passion, inspires personal growth, and encourages a positive impact on society. Our focus is on delivering shows that are entertaining, thought-provoking, educational, and uplifting. We want to hear your voice, your vision, and your recommendations for individuals you would love to see on our channel. We aim to create a channel that resonates deeply with viewers, challenging them to think bigger, dream bolder, and live a life of purpose. So, join us today, and together, we can make a difference, one viewer, one show, and one purpose at a time.
All right. What's up, everybody? Good evening to you. I pray everybody is doing well. Is it spring enough for you? Or wherever you are, I know some places it's still cold, still snowing. But what about you in your area? Is it spring enough for you? It's kind of cool some days here and then warm up a little bit, cool. But I'll take it. I'll take it over the cold. But I'm gonna get into it. I think I'm gonna have some music playing in the background, but see how that sounds. With the music playing in the background. Hey, play. Turn up a little bit. Might need a bit more upbeat. But I'm gonna get into it. This thing has been on my mind for years, upon years, and I finally got it figured out. I guess if y'all saw the promo for the show, the question was, what does MAGA mean to you? What is what is it? Make America Great Again. What does that mean to you? It means different things to different people. I have another video explaining that some things might mean one thing to one person, mean something else to another. But for me, for years, I have been trying to figure out making America great again. On the surface, at first, like it sounds real good. Hey, let's make America great again. That's real good. I stand behind that. But then you start thinking about it. Okay, make America great again. Like when? Like, so what time in history do we want to turn the clocks back to? And I guess you can see, look at me. For the country that I live in, I'm put in a certain category just because of the amount of melanin is in my skin, my skin color. So, going by that, okay. Me having to live in this body, which I love my body, I love my skin color, but having to live in this country, in this body, when was that a good time for me? So I started thinking, and like a lot of people of color, they started like, when is this time that we can fantasize and think about us going back to and making America back the way that was again? So you ask a lot of African American or people of African descent, they say even American descent. But anyway, so a lot of people of color, you ask them, when was this time? When was this time of greatness? So there's a lot of MAGA, so they called themselves, some people, they call themselves the MAGA crowd, or some people of color that wear those hats and support big time. So when was that time great for them? When was that time great for us? Been trying for a long time to figure that out. When was that great American time? Couldn't figure it out on our own. I couldn't figure out a time unless way before America was founded. That was some rough times, and in the place of still some rough times. So again, when was that time? So I finally got a video saying when that time was, what MAGA, what was behind it, what time frame were they talking about? Like I said, I've been trying to figure that out for years, and what I used to say, it was great for other people, it was great for the European Americans, but when was it great for the African American? So, like I said, it was a video. So I'm gonna show you this video, and it tells you in the video. So now that gave me a little crumb. That gave me something to work with. Like I said, after all these years, what is it? 8, 11, 12, 13 years of this Make America Great Again, trying to figure it out. So, it's been a long time me trying to figure this out. So when I saw this video, I almost did a backflip. So here you go. I'm going to show you this video. It tells you what time frame that they're talking about in America. Add to screen. And I got to stop the music. Stop the music, DJ. And here we go. I'm not going to play the whole video, but just enough for you to hear that crumb, to hear that statement, to get us on the path of what they was referring to.
We were the richest country in the world. We were at our richest from 1870 to 1913.
Do you know what happened from 1870 to 1913? It was the
He said 1830. Let me back up the video. I don't know if you heard it. He said the time from 1870 to 1913. So if you know anything about history, in 1913, right north, it was not too far from here, right up in South Georgia on the coast, in 1913 is when they started the federal income tax. So we're talking about before the income taxes, and from 1870, and that time period is called,
it was the Gilded Age. We weren't the richest country.
The Gilded Age. So what is the Gilded Age? That is when MAGA said America was great during the Gilded Age. So finally, I had something to work with, had something to go with. So after all these years, I'm finally happy to finally, this is the time period. So, and it's actually got a name for it, the Gilded Age. So I did some little research, and actually it made a video. So looking at this screen over here. So I'm not really, but yes, I think I've heard of the Gilded Age a little bit, when I was, back in the day, back when I was in school. Those many years ago, but I totally forgot. But I don't remember, like I said, some good old days in the 1800s. Nah, it wasn't too great for people of color. So what was so great about the 1800s? So here we go. I made this video to do a little explaining. Got some explaining to do, and then I'm gonna go. I do have another video, but here's just a basic idea of what is the Gilded Age. Why does MAGA believe Making America Great Again? It was great during this time, 1870 to 1913. It was so great during that time, and we need to go back to that period to make America great again. So what was going on during that time period? Here we go.
Hey there, history buffs. Today, I want to dive into the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age. It sounds so glamorous, right? A time of rapid economic growth, skyscrapers reaching for the heavens, and fortunes being made overnight. But hold on, let's peel back that glittery surface. The Gilded Age, spanning from the 1870s to about 1900, was indeed a period of immense wealth for a select few. Names like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Vanderbilt dominated the headlines. But what about the other side of the coin, the working class, the poor? While the rich were busy building mansions and throwing extravagant parties, the majority of Americans were toiling away in factories, mines, and railroads. Long hours, low wages, and unsafe working conditions were the norm. Let's not forget the tenement housing, where families were cramped into tiny, unsanitary apartments. Sound glamorous now? Reviving the Gilded Age would mean widening the gap between the rich and the poor even further. We've made progress since then with labor rights, safer working environments, and more equitable economic policies. But the idea of bringing back an era that benefited only the top 1% at the expense of everyone else isn't just ill-advised, it's downright dangerous. We need to learn from history, not repeat its mistakes. Instead of glorifying the past, let's focus on creating a future where prosperity is shared by all, where innovation and progress benefit everyone, not just a privileged few. So next time someone romanticizes the Gilded Age, remind them of the real cost. The cost borne by the countless workers who built America while struggling to make ends meet. Let's honor their legacy by moving forward, not backward. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a guide for the future. Till next time, from the mind of Lil Joe.
Okay. So do y'all understand a little bit about the Gilded Age? So the Gilded Age, it was in what they call Industrial Revolution. The Rockefellers, Carnegies, those they got rich off the oil. They got rich off the railroad. They got rich off the steel. So they got mega rich. And when those wealthy people got extremely rich, that did help out the country. But what about the other people of the country? So if you if you could put two and two together, so the MAGA is saying that America was great during this time period. So if you look back during that time period, the rich were super rich, extremely rich, but the poor was extremely poor. It was horrible. So for our reason, even the European American poor, it was bad for them. So it was really bad for the African Americans poor. So this is right after the end of slavery and the beginning of the Jim Crow laws. So there were some towns that were trying to be self-sufficient, and those ones who had came up with some different success, quote unquote, the Black Wall Streets. The European Americans didn't like that, so most of the time what they would do, burn it down. That's what you're fired stands for. That's like you're fired is you will burn someone's house and make them move and make them leave. So they would pretty much burn the whole city down. Started burning houses, then they would burn the whole city down. But anyway, so that was the time period. So MAGA is saying, I don't know if everybody that supports the MAGA agenda, the MAGA movement, don't know if they realize that's the time period that they're talking about, but that's what he said. That's the time period when the super wealthy was super rich, and when the poor was super poor. So fast forward to today. If y'all remember our inauguration time, you remember seeing all those super wealthy, super rich people sitting up there in the stands. So if you can see with the different policies, every day, different policies are taken from the poor. that they have the feeding kids school lunch. I just saw this one politician, I forgot what state he was from. They interviewed him and asked him about the school lunch. And he said when he was 16, he had to go and work and get a job. So he basically saying the kids should work. They should stop being lazy and get out and get a job and pay for their own lunch. And the reporter was like, you're talking about maybe some high school students could probably go to work. And a lot of them, if they're able to, they're not trying to get a free lunch. They either, if they have the ability, the means, and get a car or a job or something, they're not going to be trying to come in and get the free lunch. It's the ones who can't afford it, especially the young ones. And we know a lot of kids, the only meal they get for the day, or especially only hot meal they get for the day, is maybe the breakfast and lunch they get from school. So a lot of politicians like, oh, they don't deserve it. They don't need it. So take it away, or they can go work and get a job. They need to stop being lazy, eating free lunch. Now you got the food for the Meals on Wheels. That's food feeding the elderly. I guess he say they should have worked harder and saved their money to have food, so we don't need the Meals on Wheels program. And the SNAP, the food stamps. So everybody need to get off, go get a job, and they don't need the food stamps. Again, with the elderly needing food stamps. So it's the way the one guy I saw recently, he was like, it's kind of like a Jenga, the game of Jenga. I love playing Jenga. I think I'm almost the best in the world. But the object of the game of Jenga, it starts off with all the blocks, and it's solid. But you start taking pieces from the bottom and move them to the top and making the top solid, but you're weakening the bottom. Take a piece from the bottom, put it to the top. Take a piece from the bottom, put it to the top. What's the outcome? What's the result? The person wins when the previous person, or the next person, knocks it over. When it makes, it tumbles over. But that's our society. If you keep taking from the bottom and putting it to the top, the bottom is not going to be able to sustain itself. The bottom is not going to be able to sustain the whole system. But as you see, that's what's happening. So back in the Gilded Age, that's what's going on. The bottom was doing all the work. The bottom was in the mines. The bottom was in the mills. The bottom was doing all this hard labor, making the steel, running the railroads, drilling for oil, being in the fields, plowing and planting, doing all these different things. That was the bottom doing all that work. But the rich was benefiting from the labor of the ones at the bottom. And that's what's happening again. So, but not only is that happening again, and that's the plan, but is the policies. I really didn't want to get too deep in them, just talk about it a little bit. The rich are looking for another tax break. But if you understand the system that we're in, if you pretty much run your life as a business, and our country is centered around business, you can almost write off about everything. Someone told me, I didn't research it myself, so I don't know 100%. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that companies like Rolex pays no taxes. You're talking about $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 watches. So they're a wealthy company, wealthy family. So what they do is again, I didn't research this, so somebody can yell and cuss at me later. But they say the way they do it, they got everything set up as a business, and they have the trust and nonprofits and all these different things. So basically, they take all the profits that they make and they donate it to the nonprofit, which they have access to. So they donate everything away, so they don't have to pay taxes on anything. So that's what. But when I say donate it away, they're really donating it to themselves. They're not donating to help other people. So, but that's the system. We have a lot of gaping loopholes. I think they said that the tax code for businesses around like 900 something pages, 900 different tax breaks or different things. So that's why, like Warren Buffett said on many occasions that he was one of the richest men in the world, pays less taxes than his secretary. Why? Because of the system. The system is set up around business and is business based, and business can have the write-offs or ways to show no profit, but working people don't have those same privileges. So that's where the taxes come from, the hard working people. So again, where we are today is the current government is trying to give another $4 trillion tax cut to the different businesses and the wealthy. But the system, you remember this Jenga I was just talking about? That Jenga cannot sustain $4 trillion being taken away from it. So where are they going to get the $4 trillion instead of the trillions of dollars that's in the top? They are going to the bottom and trying to get the $4 trillion. So that's why a lot of the Medicaid and Medicare, the schools, the fundings for all sorts of projects and different things, helping people around the world, helping feed people in our own country. So they have to find it from somewhere. So we're not going to get it from the rich where they have plenty already, but we're going to go to the bottom and get it from the poor. So we have to rebuild this Gilded Age. That's what's the Gilded Age. Gilded is just really, I think Mark Twain is the one that came up with the term Gilded Age. Gilded Age is what his term was referring to is something looking really fancy, really nice, kind of like it's gold plated, but the gold is really thin. From a distance, it looks really good because of the gold, the glitter from the gold. But when you get close to it or even touch it, you realize that gold, it was pretty much fake or super thin. And then the reality was under the gold shines through. So that's, referring back to that Jenga. We keep trying to taking from the many who are working paycheck to paycheck or struggling. It's not going to be able to sustain. Then I saw another politician. He's already, that's the one that tripped me out the most. Man, I need to get back to my notes, but this one was really got to me when he was like, he's a millionaire or billionaire politician, and he was saying that his 95-year-old mother-in-law was able to get Social Security, and if her Social Security check didn't come in one month, she wouldn't complain. Only people who are scamming the system are the ones that complain. And I was like, what? A lot of people, I'm talking about people who call themselves Democrat, people call themselves Republican, people call them independents, all that receives a Social Security check, majority, they depend and need that. Most of them I believe, are living paycheck to paycheck. They trying to make, the month. Whenever that check comes, they got to figure out a way to make it last into the next month. And he's saying his 95-year-old mother-in-law won't have a problem if she misses a check. Then I thought, like, wait a minute. Wait. Why, as my other pastor would say, my pastor would say, what in the ham and cheese? Why is your 95-year-old mother-in-law on Social Security when you're a millionaire or a billionaire? Why? I believe that might be one of the reasons why she don't care if the check don't come. She don't really need it. But if she does get the check and depend on the check, why? Why are you not taking care of her? How you thought that was something to brag about, to say your 95-year-old mother-in-law is on Social Security, and then you claiming how rich you are? Just why? Okay, I digress. I go back. Get back to the point. What's the point? Anyway, but yeah, so that's what. So MAGA, just a little bit of short recap. I was saying what was the meaning of MAGA? What was the meaning? So I spent years trying to figure out what did MAGA mean. So our president said MAGA was during America was great during the Gilded Age. That was from 1870 to around 1913, right before the income tax. So what happened after the income tax? These rich people had to start paying some money. They had to start paying taxes. Well, I don't know why people always think taxes is a bad thing, but I guess if you're rich and everything's cool, you don't want to use some of your money to help other people out. So if you got it, you want to keep it. So I guess that's why, taxes is a bad thing. But for everybody else, there's so many different services, there's so many different things that help. You driving down the street on a road that's not full of potholes. Man, sorry for going on different direction. I went to Liberia, Africa. Was that 3 years ago? Was it a couple years ago? And it's night and day. Literally, at night it was dark. All these city lights, these street lights that we're accustomed to, barely any lights for miles. And I mean, I'm talking on the outskirts. I know probably inside the city limits, but I'm talking about on the outskirts of what we would call it. Anyway, on the outskirts where there's neighborhoods, houses, and businesses and everything right on the outside of the city, but there are not streets with street lights. There's no, on the most part, there was no street lights. They have paved roads, but then we traveled throughout the country, and many times the highway was not paved. I'm talking about the major vein, the major highway. We was driving for hours down this major vein. It was not paved. And it's not funny, but some of the potholes were big as the truck. We was in a Range Rover going. I was glad we was bouncing, but I'm like, it's not even paved. We have some little side streets that's not paved, but this is the main highway that wasn't paved. But anyway, sorry but a lot of times that's where the tax money goes to different things that we take for granted. That's a lot of places do not have. They don't have the benefit of the different things. Then on the other hand, there's other places that has other benefits that we don't have, like free medical. It's really not free. It comes out of their taxes, but it's coming from everybody. Everybody is paying into it to help everybody. But we don't believe that way here in America. I believe we are. This is my opinion, and that's opinionated show. That we are very selfish here. I believe that we have plenty. It's enough money in this country that there should not be not one homeless person in America. And where is that? Is that it's a country? It's Qatar? Is that the country Qatar? It's a country that pretty much everything is free. But I know they got a lot of money from the oil. But there is nobody lacking. There's nobody hungry. There's no homeless people there at all. So they're rich people, but they're still giving back to take care of the ones that's underprivileged. We don't think that way, but it was a time that we did. But if you see in the news like every day, it's something been cut, something been taken away. I have not seen anything that's affecting the rich. Everything that I've been seeing is taken from the poor, taken from the needy. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen it. The latest we just saw, the Department of Education is being dismantled, but the Department of Education didn't educate. The Department of Education did not educate. The school systems in the country is the ones that did the education. So I think a lot of people who are, destroying different things, they need to be educated on what they're doing. They need to know the truth. You know, it's just so much. But yes, the Department of Education does not tell the states what to teach. The states already tell the states what to teach. So getting rid of the Department of Education so the states can start teaching what they want to teach, that's null and void. They already do that. But if we recall, just a couple of weeks ago, I did a story about Miss Ruby, I keep forgetting her name, the first little, I think she was 6 or 7, little girl that integrated the schools because that state refused to let African Americans go to the school. Only European Americans could go to that school. So this state and multiple states around the country refused to allow African Americans to attend the schools because we had the Jim Crow laws. It's supposed to have been separate but equal, but they were not separate. I mean, they were separate but not equal. So the quality things to provide a quality education were a lot in the schools mostly ran by the European Americans. So what happened? The federal government had to force the states to let people of color to go to school. So without the federal government, it wouldn't have been integration of the schools. The federal government had to come in, and that was around the time for the beginning of the Board of Education to have to monitor and make sure the states were obeying the federal laws. That's why. So now, as we see a lot of stuff being rolled back, so now if states can do whatever they want to do now, especially like with this voucher program in different places. So it's going to be to the point where, okay, if I can't stop you from coming to school, I can outprice you. Let's just take all the funding from the public schools, put them in the private schools or put them in the charter schools, put all the money there and charge you a fee. We give you a voucher, but the voucher is not going to cover the cost of the schools. So now what do you do? So now we're able to segregate the schools again. So they got another plan. So we're just putting everything in reverse. Okay, let me move on. So the next thing, so we're talking about the Gilded Age. So now I'm so happy. So anybody else happy that you finally know what time in history was MAGA, or Make America Great Again? What period of time were they referring to? They were referring to the Gilded Age around 1870 to 1913. And during that time, it still wasn't great for people of color. So going back to that time, why would I wear that hat? Why would I walk around proudly and say, "Hey, let's make America great. Let's go back to 1870." Nope. Let's go back to 1913. Not gonna happen. Don't want to do it. Not gonna do it. Nope. So I don't know. So that might be great for rich people, all those multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires. Yes, the Gilded Age is perfect. Let's go back to that. We are totally controlled, and those poor people can just shut up and just go to work. No labor. You remember? Let's think about that. During the Gilded Age, no labor laws. So that means no children. What you call that? Child age working laws. So what are we doing? We're changing laws to get rid of the labor laws. Unions, no unions for the beginning of the unions. So you can treat your workers however you want to without unions. So how did you stop getting treated bad? With the unions. So what do you do to make sure people don't complain about what you're doing to them or unsafe workplaces? So I think was OSHA one of the agencies that's that they shut down or trying to shut down? What is OSHA to make sure that people are safe on the workplace? So who would want to get rid of OSHA? Is somebody that wants to bypass the safety measures? One second. Yeah, so that getting rid of OSHA is not benefiting the employees. The OSHA protected the employees. So the only one I can think of that want to get rid of them is the owners that want to go back to the Gilded Age, where there was no safety measures. There was nothing, no one that you could complain to when you had problems in the workplace. Well, we just lost the consumer protection agency. So what was that? So when companies were doing the people wrong in the country, if they was cheating them with the credit cards or price gouging, doing all different things to bring harm to the regular citizen of the United States. So they had the Consumer Protection Agency. We just got rid of that. Why we need to get rid of that? Because it would only benefit the owners of the company, not the people who's supposed to be protecting. Get it out of here. Let's go. So it's like anything that's protecting people, even to be able to breathe. So let's go back to 1870, go back to 1913. Back then, can you imagine the pollution that was getting put out in the atmosphere, or the pollution? So you think these mines, not mines, these factories that's putting out all this pollution was probably right next door to the poor neighborhood, so all this pollution and soot and everything would be raining down, and they were breathing and getting all diseases and cancer and everything. So they had laws, regulations to, hey, we can't put housing that close. You need to do something to prevent all this pollution. So we have a government that's, hey, let's get rid of all these policies. Let's get rid of everything. We don't need to protect the air. We don't need to protect the water. We don't need to protect the people. All we need to do is make way for the billionaires to even get even more. That's the policy. That's to make America great again. It's basically, let's make the rich again, and not helping out the ordinary Joes, the ordinary Josephines, ordinary people. It's for the rich. So this division that we have in the country is not between the races. The race is just made up. It's just made up. It's no such thing as the race. Yeah, we have different tones of melanin in our skin, but the race was made up. But it's a thing made up to cause division. So how do you control the people? How do you control, divide and conquer? So that's what's happening. The country is divided. The country is divided, but the main people of the country, not the one percenters. The one percenters, they are the ones who have the most of the wealth. They are not divided. They're united. They're united on, hey, let's get rich. Let's keep on getting rich. So they cool. They sitting up, at the big house. But everybody else is not. So how do you keep them fighting each other instead of fighting you? Do y'all remember? Let's go back to the Bacon's Rebellion. Bacon's Rebellion. If y'all, just a real quick, little short history. The poor people united. That was all colors. The natives, the African Americans, the poor European Americans, they were all united, working together, and was starting a rebellion. They started a rebellion was started, but the British came in and saved the day. But they wanted to make sure, when I say they, the wealthy, the elite, they wanted to make sure, hey, we can't have that happening again. We can't have those average people, middle class, and the poor, the working poor. We can't have them united. So that's when the black race and the white race was invented. It was not, it was invented here in America. And what it boils down to, white means privilege. Black means lack of privilege. Black means take privileges away. White means give you privileges. So that's what they offered the poor whites. We're going to give you some privileges that the black people don't have. So we're going to give you some privileges to make you feel better than the black man. We're going to give you privileges so you can feel like you're better, you're superior. You see where that led. And some people say that's gone now. It's not gone. It's still here. It's still here. It's not as powerful as it was back then, but it's still here. But with these laws that's being rolled back, our civil rights laws, remember that slavery was over in the 1800s and didn't really get civil rights until 1964, 1965. See, almost 100 years, before we finally got the slaves were able to get civil rights. But guess what? A lot of those civil rights that was approved and approved by Congress in 1965, 1964 are being rolled back. Did y'all hear the one today? Well, not today. Anyway, the one last, I don't know, time is just flying by with so many things happening. But just recently, an executive order was signed that different businesses doing business with the federal government do not have to obey the anti-segregation laws. So what does that mean? That means back before 1964, they had segregation to where they would have separate water fountains, separate sitting areas, or you remember axe handle Saturday here, that Saturday or Sunday? Saturday, axe handle Saturday here in Jacksonville when those teens just went into the lunch counters and sat down peacefully. Okay, Saturday, they just sat there peacefully, and the European Americans decided, no, we don't want them to share the food with us. They need to be out back, go through the back door and get fed through the back door. They're not going to get fed with us because it's separate. So that's what the law recently just passed, where they can do that again. And the federal government is still going to do business with you. We don't care about the segregation law. So if you got anything that you want to segregate to try to separate people of color or even brown people or people from Asia and give European Americans more privileges. That's what it all. The segregation is basically giving European Americans more privileges and taking privileges away from the people of color. Remember I said, white means privilege, black means no privilege. So that's what we're trying to make the Europeans feel like they're more superior, that they're better. So we need to figure out a way to separate and make them feel better and make the people of color feel worse. That's what it's all about. So our government there's nothing wrong with that. So you can do it if you want to. No problem. What? This is 2025 and we are going backwards? We are going backwards? What? We're going backwards? For real? That's what we're doing. Going backwards. And we just sit there and watch. Okay. I done skipped all over my notes. Let me go back to my next part. Where's the clock? Where's the time? Where's the clock? Where is the time? I don't see the clock. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. So next, another thing, what I wanted to do, here we go. I'm gonna jump to that real quick. I need to find it first. So this is, I'm just say about my why. What's this conversation for? Because a lot of people need to understand what's going on. A lot of people are, like I said, it's the division. So to keep the crowd, to keep the normal folks, majority of people from attacking, we got to keep them fighting each other. So so we was talking about Make America Great Again. That's what the main subject was about. And I told you that the question was, what does it mean to you? So it means different things to different people. So when you see that red hat, it means different things to different people. So I made this video. So it's a word where two people can look at something and get two different meanings. Two different understandings. So here we go. It's my word for the day. With 2 words for the day.
A double entendre is a word or phrase with two meanings. One meaning is usually obvious. The other meaning is often hidden. Sometimes it's sexual, sometimes it's offensive. In America, some symbols work like double entendres. They mean different things to different people. This can cause confusion and conflict. The same symbol can represent pride or pain. It depends on who is looking. Understanding these different meanings is important. It helps us navigate a diversely divided society. The Confederate flag is a powerful example. For some, it represents Southern heritage. They see it as a symbol of history and culture. They connect it to family and tradition. But for others, it's a symbol of hate. It represents slavery and segregation. It reminds them of violence and oppression. This flag flew during a time of war. The Confederacy fought to keep Black people enslaved. This painful history is why the flag is so controversial. Seeing it displayed can be hurtful and scary. It can make people feel unwelcome and unsafe. It's a reminder of the racism that still exists today. Dixie is another example. This song is often seen as a cheerful tune about the South. Some people find it nostalgic, but Dixie has a dark past. It was used in minstrel shows. These shows mocked Black people. They used racist stereotypes. They were deeply offensive. Dixie became an anthem for the Confederacy. This connection to racism makes it controversial today. Many people find it offensive. They see it as a symbol of hate. The Confederate flag and Dixie are older examples, but new symbols of division continue to emerge. Make America Great Again. Hats, or MAGA hats, are one example. Some people see them as a sign of patriotism. They support the former president and his policies. But others see them as symbols of hate and division. They associate them with racism, xenophobia, and intolerance. These symbols can create fear and discomfort. They can make public spaces feel unsafe for marginalized groups. Understanding these double meanings is crucial. It helps us be more sensitive. It helps us create a more welcoming and inclusive society for everyone. From the mind of Lil Joe.
Okay, double entendre. That was the word I was looking for. Let me remove that. So as we go through life, I believe some European Americans have, some do, they know, but others don't have a clue, or they don't understand. Some like what the Confederate flag, how that affects people of color. It was so much. So many bad things that was done under that flag. Still got to say, a lot of bad things done under the American flag also, but still, it was a whole lot of bad things done, probably still being done under that flag. And they know that flag is designed to cause fear. That flag is designed to show hatred. For what reason? I got this poem, this "Wow, what did I ever do to you?" It was this poem from a Black man to a white man. What did I ever do to you? But that flag does cause fear to some, and anger, and some people, like, they don't care. But some say, "Oh, that's my heritage." But what heritage? What are you holding on to so much that you'd rather offend your fellow man, your fellow American, but you hold on to that heritage, so that So a lot of people, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do the different things that my forefathers did. I didn't do it. But you, as you hold that flag, you are in basically saying you're in support of what that flag stood for. So now same thing with again. Now so you can argue that the new Confederate flag is the MAGA hat. So it's just a lot of the same people that fly the Confederate flag wearing multiple, have a lot of the MAGA hats, and even the Let's Go Brandon signs. Same thing. It's just like different subtle ways of saying different things, or subtle ways of saying this what you support, subtle ways to let you know I don't care if this make you nervous or not, but I'm going to show it anyway. And you know when people fly flags, put bumper stickers on their car, you know that's broadcasting. So it's just as if you were saying it. So like you say, you got a profanity bumper sticker on your back of your car, and someone reads it. It's as if you said it. So yeah, one time I forget, I think I was going to Palatka, I think, or something like that, going to some town, and I had to ride by this house, and every time I see this, I see the Confederate flag, and they have some, I don't know what the sign is, I can't remember what the sign says, but I was saying to myself, like, they got to give an account for every time somebody read that sign. Imagine thousands of cars over the years that sign was there. And I was saying to myself, they got to give an account. Imagine you standing before God and you saying, yeah, you can get in, but you said something offensive. And the only way you can get in, you got to go apologize for every time you said it. And he said, okay, I just, I only talked so much, and I was a good person. I didn't say too many bad things to people, so that should be no problem. But then the Lord say, nope, every time somebody read that sign for 15 years, you had that sign up, you have to go and repent to them for all those 15 years worth of people. You have to go and do that. Imagine, imagine that. That's because you got a bumper sticker that's saying something that's offensive. You being offensive to all people, especially you being offensive to God's people. You're saying something that you shouldn't say. Well, broadcasting, that's still broadcasting. You're sending a message out. If you got a message of love, you're sending out a message of love. If you got a message of hate, you're sending out a message of hate. And then sometimes like, oh, that's my heritage, but your heritage is attached to hate. You still putting out hate. So just imagine a lot of these people with this stuff saying that they are believers and they're Christians. What if God's saying you got to give an account for every time somebody read that sticker or got fear came in their body when they saw that sign. I'm sorry. Yeah, when they saw that flag. Because some people, if you want to keep people of color away, you just hang up a whole bunch of those flags. They stand away. So a lot of people, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. So again, that's the thing. What if God has you to give an account for everything, every time you brought fear, or every time you brought hate instead of love? And then that goes back to America. America having to give an account for the different things that's happening now. I just heard, again, I got to say, I didn't research this, but I just saw today they were saying that a lot of the immigrants, that the promise was only criminals, but they changed the law and say to be immigrant, that's the crime now. So lot of them being rounded up. They said they're taking them to Cuba. Actually, I went to Cuba. It was like November. Oh, it was hot as fire. Oh, it was so hot when it should have been cool. It was super hot. So imagine these people are being, they're suffering. So one of the places that they, some of the people, some people are famous that's getting rounded up now. That's, were actors and actresses or doing different things in the community, being, productive citizens. They were still rounded up, but they were showing that somebody saying that three people have died at this one location. It was designed to hold 500 people, and I think they say like 2,000 or more people in this place. It's supposed to hold 500 people, and they don't have enough food and water for them. I think, again, I didn't research it. Y'all can look it up and check it out. They said that some people, you only get water once a day. And I don't know about the food situation, but if you're only getting water once a day, I can imagine that the food is going to be in short supply also. Because really, when they rolled this out, there was no plan. It just do it. And now, it's just, imagine like you got this spot that can hold this small amount of people, but then you send thousands. You take money from feeding children, feeding the elderly, helping the elderly. You taking money from that and putting it into rounding up people, honest, hardworking people who paid taxes, paid into the Social Security that they would never ever be able to use. So imagine you working, you come here with your green card, the way you're doing what you're supposed to do, working, paying taxes, paying Social Security. Again, they take Social Security out, but you don't, if you're not a citizen, you're not going to be able to get it benefits from it. So the country benefits from these workers that's putting money into the system that's going to collapse without enough workers. But anyway, basically what they were saying is that the facility in Cuba is basically torturing people, and the majority are innocent people that are being tortured, and the country doesn't have a plan. And I guess since it's out of sight, out of mind, a lot of people just don't care. They just don't care. I just pray that God give you a heart to care. I pray that God give you compassion. I pray that God even moves in your heart. There's a lot of things that's been distorted. The word of God has been distorted. But the true heart of God, you should know. You should have the feeling like, am I doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? Go back to this Jenga game that I was talking about. We continue to take from the bottom, keep taking from the poor, keep taking and giving it to the top. It's not going to be too long before that collapses. And I do believe that's the plan. I think that's the plan, is to make it collapse and have a reset and made into someone else's image, and not, surely not God's image, and surely not in the image of equality. That's the cuss word, equality. If everything is equal, that means that their advantage has been taken away. So they don't want their advantage to be taken away. But anyway, all right. That's my hour for tonight. I hope you enjoyed. Anything I said that you don't agree with, you do agree with, we want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it next time. Uh-oh. Yeah. Everybody, be blessed.